Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I just realized I never do like an introduction, like a proper one. So my name is Liz, I'm a registered nurse. This is my family channel for the most part. And I've been getting a lot of new subscribers because I'm realizing that a lot of y'all are interested in nursing. You're nursing students, you are nurses. So I guess I'm gonna focus more on that content if that's what y'all want. I don't know. Please excuse my appearance. I have been packing all day. Again, I sound like a broken record, but as many of you know, we are moving from South Florida to Central Florida. And yeah, we were basically gonna have until like the end of May. We still do have until the end of May here in our townhouse, but we're moving a lot sooner than later, and I'll get into that in this video as to why. So excuse the appearance, this is real life. I'm still in my pajamas, no makeup on. You're lucky I brushed my hair. Kids are at school, Rain's taking a nap, so I figured perfect opportunity to film a follow-up video of what's just been going on in the world of nursing for me. So basically I got a job. I got a job at 7 months pregnant. Yeah. So the original game plan, okay? Original game plan was to move, give birth to this baby, and then like once I'm postpartum, I would start looking for a job. Now, what are these little lines? What is that? Why does it look like that? Is it the lighting? I don't know. Anyway, so I would start looking for a job. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I'm just the type of person that always like looks on Indeed and stalks different like job openings and stuff. I saw that like a major hospital system was having a job fair. It's like, whatever, I'll go to the job fair. And I got 4 offers, guys. I got 4 offers from this job fair. So let's get into the main idea of this video, which is the fact that I'm leaving NICU. I'm leaving NICU, leaving pediatrics, and entering the world of adults. It's a hard pill to swallow. If you're a pediatric or neonatal nurse, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I hear my friends complaining, oh my God, my patient, this and that, my patient, this and that. I had to turn them. I'm like, yeah, I can't relate. My baby weighs 500 grams and I can hold them with one hand. I can't. Let's get into it, guys. You guys know I'm a NICU nurse. I have been a NICU nurse ever since I graduated with my bachelor's degree. Ever since I became a nurse, that's all I know. That's all I've been trained to do, is take care of premature and micro preemie babies, okay? So when applying for this job fair, I was pretty open. I knew that I wanted to get into another field. Don't get me wrong, another unit rather. Don't get me wrong, I love the NICU. I really have grown to love and appreciate the NICU for what it is and for what it's given me and how I've been trained to take care of these babies in an intensive care setting. However, a part of me really wanted to transition to adults. Specifically women's health though, like that's where I saw myself. It's like, okay, women's health or ER. I know it's like 2 different worlds, but those are 2 things I'm really passionate about. Emergency room medicine, trauma, fast paced, go, go, go type of thing, like rapid response. I really love that. But I love women's health. Like I think every woman, especially if you're a mother, you love women's health, like labor and delivery, women's health in general, OB, labor and did I say labor and delivery? It's just all that. Pediatrics and women's health is like holds and will always hold a special place in my heart. But when I applied for this job fair, none of that was open. There was no pediatrics and no women's health, no nothing. The hospital system I'm transitioning to has a separate hospital specifically for women and babies, and they have a separate hospital specifically for children. Again, none of which are hiring. I'm sure they're hiring internally, like if you're already an employee, but it wasn't open to external applicants. So I go to this job fair. The first person or unit that wanted to interview me was actually the neuro ICU. No, it was a neuro step down unit, okay? So we're talking TIAs, like different types of strokes and hemorrhages and IVH and seizures and just all the things neuro, okay, which I was cool with. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna get a lot of post-stroke patients, a lot of just, you know, I kind of prepared for what that role would be. So again, neuro step down / like neuro ICU, like they kind of get both patients there. So I go to sit for the interview and I'm talking with the woman, and like I said, if you didn't watch my last video, I gave you guys a lot of interview tips. I killed that interview. not to say nothing, I like killed it. So I'm talking to her and she loves me, I can tell, we're connecting, whatever. And as soon as I say the words, I'm like, yeah, neuro step down, blah, blah, blah. And she stops, her facial, like her affect changes. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mention. I was like, what? She goes, yeah, neuro step down / the ICU. She's like, they're already full. They've chosen other applicants yesterday. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, well, that's odd because that's where I got a call from for the first interview here. She goes, well, this is gonna be neural med surge. And I was like, I was like, say less, ma'am. Thank you for your time. I gotta go. I gotta go. I am not a med surg nurse. I don't want to be a med surg nurse. I have the utmost respect for med surg nurses, but it's just not it's not where I want to be, okay? So she goes, I don't, you know, so in my mind, I was like, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm here, you know, I do want to get into this hospital system. I was like, you know what? I'm adaptive. I can deal. And she looks at me, she goes, I just don't think this will be a good fit for you. She goes, I'll offer you the job. She goes, I love you. I'll offer you the job, but I don't think you're gonna be happy here. And I don't think that your skill set is gonna be utilized the way that it should be on my floor. She goes, again, I'll offer it to you, but I think that you're better suited for another unit. She goes, let me look around. Mind you, this is a job fair. There's like a bunch of units there. I'm like, okay. She ended up getting me like all these other interviews, sitting down with all these other interviews. So from there, she goes, come meet, we'll call her Casey. Come meet Casey. Casey's from the ICU. I'm like, okay. So I sit down with ICU, again, all adults. I sit down with ICU, kill the interview. She offers me on the spot. I declined on the spot because she only had night shift open. She said that I would be training on days, but after that, I'm on nights for an indefinite amount of time. I have to get on a wait list for day shift. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I would love to take this position. However, I can't function on night shift. I know for me, it's not safe. It's not safe for my patients. It's not safe for me to drive home. I did night shift for a year. It almost killed me, literally. So I had to decline that. So that was the first offer, ICU, which would have been a really dope experience, but God's timing, right? Next person I sat with was from cardiac tele step down. So basically straight from there, those are like your open heart surgeries, cath lab, post cath lab patients, STEMIs, LVADs, things like that. So sat with her, really connected with that nurse manager. She hires me on the spot. I give her a verbal yes. I'm like, you know what? I think this can work. After that, I went home and I had another job fair for the same hospital system at a different campus, okay? I go to that hospital system. I sit down with the observation unit. If you don't know what observation unit is, that's basically the patients that go from, let's say you go to the ER, right? You go to the ER, they're either gonna admit you to the hospital or send you home. For the patients that they don't know what to do with yet, that are like, we're not sure, we still need to monitor them, they go to observation. They can be in observation anywhere from a couple hours to 2 days, 24 hours, something to that nature, okay? Before they decide whether or not the patient is safe to go home or needs to be admitted. So that's what observation is. Observation, mind you, is located in the ER. It's an extension of the ER. So observation that was the only interview I had scheduled, was observation. I sit down with two very nice women who were interviewing me, and we're talking, we're connecting again, and we're talking about ICU and my critical care skills and things like that. And they kept saying, yeah, on our unit this, but observation does this. On our unit this, but observation does that. And I said, I'm sorry, I think I'm confused. I'm like, are you guys not, do y'all not work for observation? Like, and they go, oh my God, we didn't even mention. She's like, no, we don't work for observation. We work for ICC. I'll tell you what that is in a minute. And I'm like, oh, okay. She goes, we worked for observation for many, many years. Apparently the nurse manager was unavailable, so they were the ones conducting the interview, which makes sense, I guess. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. They go, yeah, so we're from ICC. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what is ICC? Different hospitals use kind of different like abbreviations and names for their unit. For example, intermediate critical care, in one unit can be IMCU. That could be ICC, intermediate critical care. In another unit, it's IMCU, intermediate critical care. Okay, so there said ICC. I was like, is ICC intensive critical? What is that? Like, oh, it's intermediate cardiac care, which is another ICC. And I said, okay, so tell me again. She goes, so yeah, let's tell you about our unit. Like, they go, we think you're better for our unit. We think you're gonna be bored in observation is what they said. And I was like, okay. They said that they handle drips, they handle this, they handle that, a lot of different things. You know, they started talking to me like, yeah, well, we have a bunch of patients on insulin drips. We have a bunch of patients on dopa drips, or, you know, or just a bunch of different random medications, okay, they started talking about. And I'm thinking, like, they're talking about like amiodarone drips and whatever. And I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, what's your patient ratio? I said 4-to-1. I said, you guys have 4 patients on drips? Like, make it make sense. Somebody in the comments, please make it make sense, because if I have a patient on drips, that's a 1-to-1. But then again, that's NICU. So I'm like, well, how are you like titrating your drips and like monitoring your parameters on 4 people at the same time? Like, I literally can't even think about how to do that. I'm so used to like that would be a 1-to-1 patient where I come from. They're like, it is what it is. Some of them we have to titrate, some we don't, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, do you have help? Do you have PCA? They very much gave me the vibe that they have a supportive unit and it works, basically. Like, you'll get trained to make it work. So I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so they offered me. The ICU, I had the neuro step down / neuro ICU. I had the cardiac tele step down unit. And then I have observation, and now I have the IC, I guess that was 5. And then I have the ICC. So all of these jobs offered me. I'm now like, crap, which one do I choose? They gave me like a weekend to decide. So I ended up going with, and it'll make sense, I actually ended up going with observation, and I'll tell you why. If you watch my last video, or if you watch my video on like my nursing school journey, how I became a nurse, I was in paramedic school first, right? Like I said, I love ER, I love trauma. Long story short, observation unit is the closest and in my mind, the fastest track to get me to the ER. I'm working in the ER, I'm just in a separate little wing that is observation, okay? I'm gonna be very familiar with all the ER nurses. I'm gonna make sure I'm very familiar and I stand out to the nurse managers there. And I will get in that ER. I will get in that ER. And then I'll transfer to their level. I don't know if that's a level 1 at the hospital campus that I'm at, but I'll be in the level 1 ER within a year, mark my words, if that's what I wanna do, because I am so confident that your passion will take you where you wanna go, where you need to be. And that's how I feel. I wanna do ER for several years and then possibly go back to pediatrics or mother baby or women's health or something like that. Those are, like I said, those are my 2 passions. So yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna learn kind of like the baby ER nurse, if you will. I'm gonna learn all these different disease processes. I'm gonna see everything from abdominal pain to headaches to like increased troponin but no MI. Like, I'm gonna learn all of these different things and have to manage all these patients at once and do admissions and discharges and they told me that you can basically have 4 patients and admit 4 patients, discharge them, and admit another 4 patients like in your same shift. That's how fast observations sometimes can be. It's also a 12-bed area, so there's probably only 2 nurses there because it's like, I don't know if it's 6 and 6 or if it's 4-to-1 where there's 3 nurses. I'm not really sure, but either way, I just feel like those are the skill sets that I wanna obtain right now to get me to the ER. I know that the other units were awesome opportunities, but like this one just makes sense for me. And every single person that I sat with was very adamant about, hey, like, if you start on one unit and you're not happy there, let us know. We would rather keep our nurses and keep them happy than to let a nurse go because she can't work where she wants to work. So they were very pro like lateral movement within their healthcare system. I want to end up in leadership in a hospital system. Like, I want to end up in a unit that I love with like a shit ton of skill sets that I can be like some sort of leader, work as a leader. So yeah, that just made sense for me. And I just hope that you guys take this and make something make sense for you. Like, don't just take a position because other people say it's great. Like, honestly, like a lot of my friends said observation sucks. Like, we hate it. One of my friends though said, this one makes sense, Liz, like take it. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. Like that, she helped solidify what I already knew. And my mom as well. So I start orientation on April 19th And I'm gonna be working up until I deliver this little baby in my belly. So I'll probably be working for like a month and a half, God willing, until I'm like 39 weeks or so. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting my new team. I'm looking forward to onboarding and orientation and just learning as much as I can learn. Cause it's gonna be, I told them, I'm like, listen, y'all are gonna have to train me like a new grad, cause all I know is NICU. And while some of my skills are applicable, I would imagine that most of them are not. So we'll see. I'll also get some pediatric patients too, which is pretty cool. Like, I think they start taking patients at like 7, I think, depending on the condition. Like if they need to be transferred out, they're going to the children's hospital. But if they're coming in for something minor, I think that they will take some peds cases, if not teenagers for sure. So that's another thing I'm really excited about, is it's not going to be all elderly and geriatrics, because it's not really my vibe. So at least I'll get a wide variety of age brackets to work with. I can communicate with my patients. I can educate them and talk to them and see what's going on. And which is something I love too. Like I loved educating the moms and dads in the NICU, but I wasn't able to talk to my patient, you know? So I'm really looking forward to it. God has blessed us incredibly. Like Eric is literally on a job interview right now. Well, it's for a promotion within his job. Like everything's just kind of falling into place for us, and we're so thrilled about everything. So yeah, guys, I guess from the title of this video, that's what it is. I'm leaving NICU. I'm leaving NICU, moving on to literally bigger things, like bigger adults. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave me any questions and comments down below. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. Like, I am like shocked at how many subscribers I'm getting every day. And my goal is to reach 1,000, I said. I don't have like a timeline, but I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I appreciate you guys so much. So if you have any questions, any requests, I'm really down to make those videos for you guys. My next video is going to be how I passed my NCLEX on the first try. I know I promised that video. And then probably in the near future, I'm gonna talk about grad school, because like I said, I started my grad school program, my new program at Western Governors University, and it's been kicking my butt a little bit because I'm trying to finish, you know, in an expedited amount of time. So I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to subscribe, and yeah, have a good one, guys. Peace.